I'm from New York. If I could sit still for 3 minutes, I wouldn't need a relaxation tool. I'd already be relaxed. Thank you all for coming. We're here today to talk about, in a really terrible world, Pretail. My name's Dan Rosenbaum. I'm the president of Centering Media and the editor of WearablesInsider.com. I'm very excited to be here. We have a terrific story for you. A lot of panels have people who are experts in their individual fields, and they're very smart about what they do. We have here for you what comes down to a story. The problem is, what happens with the product once you finish building the product? You need to sell it. You need to get it into distribution. So we have up here the 4 people who are in the distribution chain, from the guy who builds the product, crowdfunded product, to the guy who sells it once it becomes something real and for the mass market. So for the next 15, 20 minutes, that's the story you'll hear. Each of you guys, why don't you introduce yourselves and we'll get rolling. Grant?
Hey, everybody. My name is Grant Martin. I'm the head of marketing and product strategy at Avagant. We are making a new head-mounted display.
Hi, I'm Francesco, and I'm part of CrowdRooster. We are a new innovation platform for hardware technology, and we help them to pre-order, manage their actual orders, as well as to iterate their products after a successful crowdfunding campaign.
Hi, my name is Joe Sanchez, founder and CEO of Q Technologies. We have a very fun virtual dynamic queue system to keep early adopters engaged in the pre-purchase process, where they can compete against each other in order to get the product earlier.
Hi, I'm Pierre. I'm part of Fnac. Fnac is a leading technology and leisure products retailer. We have 176 stores in 9 countries, mainly in Europe and also in Brazil.
One of my favorite products in the wearable sphere is the Avagant headphone, rather than looking at headphone, virtual reality goggle. Rather than looking at a screen at very close range, Avagant beams the images actually onto your retina. It vastly lowers viewer fatigue, and the clarity is something amazing. And when you finally ship and make it generally available, it's truly something to check out. So Grant, why don't you start and tell us your story in development, in crowdfunding, and how you're getting to distribution.
Sure, absolutely. So I guess, as a lot of you know, getting into a crowdfunding campaign is not something you take lightly, and you have to do it carefully, balanced against product development as well. So one of the biggest challenges with crowdfunding is building a campaign and selling something, arguably, before it is even made, and that is making promises to people. The product will have feature X or feature Y, feature Z. And so there's a big balance that happens between your engineers, your product development specialists, and your marketing team, if you will, to make sure that you get the message correct and make sure that you can sell properly to manage expectations. We did have a little bit of seed funding prior to approaching Kickstarter. With that funding, we were able to engage with the marketing agency externally to build out some of our digital collateral prior, get some good images together, get some good copy editors and communicators together to make sure that the message was crafted properly. But there was also a fair amount of product development work as well to make sure that we had the engineering team ready and our expectations set properly, especially when people ask for stretch goals and they say, well, we would like to have lasers on the headset, we would like to have, death rays, and you have to be prepared for that. You have to be prepared to say no and manage expectations, because it can get out of control very fast. We were successfully able to raise $1.5 million in funding through Kickstarter, but the period between crowdfunding via Kickstarter and actual shipment, this is your R&D period, your low period, if you will. We were able to use a third-party pre-order mechanism, ShopLocket. That's what we're using. Lime is another one, I think. And so we are still passively taking pre-orders right now. And during the course of R&D and making sure that the product that we are prepared to ship is ready, we're still marketing that lightly and taking interest from distributors down the road.
So you're still taking orders even though you're building and you have your order placed? You have your manufacturing order place.
That's right. I mean, you do want to incentivize as many people as possible to continue the pre-order process for two reasons, right? One is consumers, of course, who want to get in early and want to be incentivized to get in early via some sort of special feature, et cetera, want to have a mechanism to do that. So you have to facilitate that. But additionally, from the perspective of marketing your company, you need to point to your pre-sales as your valuation, right? And if you can point, if you have investors come in, you say, we have 10, 20, 40,000 pre-orders, they're coming in at 100 a day, that points to how viable you are as a company. And the more pre-orders you have, look through Kickstarter or whatever other mechanism, the better that you look.
So how does CrowdRooster fit
So
into this?
I have to say that the crowdfunding mechanism is something that works perfectly because thanks to that, many hardware products had the chance to be alive and to continue to grow and to develop their R&D. But the problem is the pre-tail, the pre-order period, which you just say that it's a passive receiving pre-order, and this is bad. And like we feel the pain of all the entrepreneurs that that have to feel this big barrier to arrive to retails, and they're not helped because there is not a platform, a place where they can graduate after a Kickstarter campaign, where they can continue to leverage on their community and on all of us, that we can actually help them in iterating their products to take them on shelf. And also because like chain like Fnac needs ready-made product for shelf, and it's not enough a beta product that exiting crowdfunding, and that's why there is a mismatch of expectation. And this for this reason that we need to help them in give them an easier way to manage all the orders, considering that the pre-orders usually are taken from different platforms, and it's needed just one place to manage all of that, and we need also to guide them in the way that they actually need to create the fulfillment, the shipping in an easy but at the same time professional way, giving them proper analytics to understand which are their customers, where they market, where they need to make more marketing to sell more products, to continue to boost their sales, and to survive on the bridge of death, which is the biggest barrier for hardware products.
So now you need to manage your queue of orders.
Yeah, so I came from the finance world, and when I looked at what's happening in Pretail, it's a really inefficient market, right? And essentially what's going on here is a lot bigger than what we see here, but you know, consumers now for the very first time are committing their demand before product realization and before retail availability. And this is one of the hottest, fastest growing trends in retail. The biggest challenge with that is what do you do to expand your brand presence in the pre-purchase process with those consumers, because right now they're really left in the dark, they're frustrated, they're emailing the brands, when do I get the product? We got to focus their attention on something to do that's fun, that's exciting and social in that gap, because it could be weeks, it could be months, in some cases it's over a year. And Pretail is also creating new challenges for brands in managing the market dynamics of Pretail. You know, it's a lot about how do you create, measure, and monetize anticipation. And this is kind of a whole new area that we're looking at, and that's where, you know, for brands that are very new, the biggest thing for them, of course, is creating that anticipation, creating and leveraging demand. And the only asset that they really have in a lot of cases is their early adopters and those early backers. And how do you get them to actually become a new marketing and media channel for you? And you know, this is a phenomenon that's happened all across in all different industries, but where we really see, I mean, it's really happening the strongest in wearable tech, because it's where we see the consumers pulling their demand unlike any other place. So understanding how do you actually manage and prioritize customers in a way that you can now, for the first time, start to segment your delivery. You might actually, as a lot of these brands, might only have a very limited amount of supply for their first order batch, and so we're looking at how do you apply, you know, demand chain management type principles into making this process much more efficient for both parties. So
This strikes me as being a particularly hard problem for hardware. I mean, for software, it's sort of trivial to manage queue and manage delivery. It also seems to me that this is a really useful thing for any product that's in limited supply. So, again, I'm in New York. The Rangers are in the Stanley Cup Final starting tonight. StubHub tickets are now selling for 4 digits. A platform like yours seems to be a good place to manage pricing, to allow bigger fans to get pricing, to get tickets at a cheaper price. Is that something that your platform can deal with or conceptually deal with?
Yeah, I mean, it's basically any type of activity that supports the brand, whether that's sharing on Facebook, whether it's getting others to follow you in line by purchasing and referrals, whether it's joining communities, surveys, and as well as possibly adding with paying more to get it. And then you go into price optimization, demand prediction, and those type of things to try to manage and mirror demand and supply in a very beautiful way.
And the vendor is always in control of who gets what, when, and how, and why they move up and down the queue.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
It's like the VIP line.
Right. So now we have the queue, everything's sold, and now the cold dose of reality, the mass market.
Yeah, one really interesting thing is that what you said is that if you do a crowdfunding campaign, you have to do it really well, because there have been a lot of disappointments in terms of product quality or even delivery time. And it's true that it's something that we see that, particularly in the wearable world, where there are a lot of new products every day or every week, that it is important also that from us, from the retail side, so that consumers can see, can touch, can try the product, and can have advice and assistance. And it is something really, I think really important for us.
How do you manage a small company with a limited run? If the product sells out and there's no more product, are you interested in handling that product the second time around?
In fact, we do it because, as you were saying, that pre-order and pre-sale is a real trend. It has always more or less been the thing. The case with big brands, like for example, PlayStation is going out, there is already pre-order, and it's selling out in a day. And consumers have to wait. So we've been doing that for big brands, and now we are doing it with emerging products and emerging brands, with really unknown wearable products or connected devices. And it is something we are always interested in because it creates an event, it creates engagement with consumers and with all the consumer base. And it is quite exciting, to see the reception by the audience of this kind of product.
How fast well, let's take Avigad, which may not be a fair question or one that you can answer, but you sell out your first round, you're in distribution, then what? You build more, but building more has its own risks. How do you manage that risk? How do you make those decisions?
I guess it partially depends on the product that you're bringing to market. In our case, we are fortunate in that we're really developing platform technology right now. So platform display technology that you can wear, right? But if you move past that, it's very easy to forecast other products that we can get into. Thinking about the head-mounted display world, there are a lot of augmented reality solutions that one could come up with. There are a lot of really interactive solutions that you can come up with in the medical and the military world as well. So in our case, what we will probably do is stick with one product line, so the Glyph, Mark 1, et cetera, and start to expand from there. Continue production now that we have our production line set up, continue there, and then expand it into different trees for wider field of view, for gaming, sharks with lasers, et cetera, everything that you can do that the different markets really want to engage with.
We have about a minute. I'm open for questions. Everyone has their distribution solved. Everyone has their financing solved. Very good. I'd like to thank. Wait. So, I was thinking about a crowdfunding project. Someone told me not just put it on the site. You got to get the, you got to try this right. Not if that's the right word. You're going to try to get interest built up before you do something on crowdfunding. I'm just wondering, how you guys have thought about that.
So it always helps to build press first, right? To do that often helps to have a prototype or some sort of technology that you can show off to the media. There are a couple ways you can do it. One, if you're wily enough and connected enough, you can hit the media hard. I'm sure there are some people here in the media that really looking forward to that. Alternatively, you can also find a PR agency or a marketing agency to do that. I mean, that'll cost you a good 10 or 20 grand. Again, plenty of PR people in here willing to do that as well. But very important to hit the media, to hit the wire first, probably about a week before, maybe a few days before, get the buzz going, and then really have a concert of good media and crowdfunding come in at the same time to knock it out of the park, hopefully.
And the video is something that helped.
Oh, and the video too, right? I mean, you talked a little bit about the video. I mean, we definitely went through an external agency. And actually, weird story for me, I happen to be connected to some media, so I had one of my old producers build the video for us, but super high quality video, very important, usually through an external agency or through somebody who knows how to use a camera.
It's always a neat trick and an important one to try to look bigger than you are. So high quality video, high quality PR, those are not really expenses, they're really investments. I can't tell if I'm getting waved at or if I have a question.
Do you see a negative trend with some of these billion-dollar crowdfunding exits, like Oculus, where people are like, all right, I'm investing in wearables or crowdfunding things, and now they're exiting these companies, and I'm not getting a piece of that? Are there any negative trends happening because of
I think that people should be happy about it because they made something really good happen, and like they helped these guys that started from an actually beta product that was typed together, and now it's a multi-billion company. I think that it's something amazing, and just crowdfunding can make this happen.
All right, the MC is hovering with the hook. The clock here, which you can't see, is showing 0. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you, gentlemen.